Believe it or not, nearly 40% of our country's food ends up in a landfill. Enough food to feed everyone. Every year, Food Lifeline rescues nearly 40 million pounds of nutritious food from farmers, manufacturers, grocery stores, and restaurants. This is food that would otherwise go to waste. So with our $100, Food Lifeline will start by rescuing surplus fruits and vegetables while they are still fresh and nutritious. 480 pounds worth. Let's ring that up. The food is now trucked to the Food Lifeline headquarters, the Hunger Solution Center. Here, more than 10,000 volunteers will help sort and repack this food into family-sized portions. To keep the lights on and power our staff, we spend another $35 to move this nutritious cargo. Once the food is sorted and repacked, it's delivered to nearly 300 food banks, shelters, and meal programs across Western Washington. Enough food to feed more than 800,000 people every single year. This is food that food banks desperately need. So now we've rescued nearly 500 pounds of food and created, wait for it, 400 meals. That's just 25 cents a meal to rescue food and deliver it to a hungry neighbor. But who are these hungry neighbors, and where are they? Welcome to the Recovery Cafe in Seattle, a community for those struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. It's a warm, safe place to get a cup of joe, a bite to eat, and a 12-step meeting. Today, cafe manager Tiffany Turner is serving up lunch and making the coffee.
We just want people to lift their spirits and sit down and relax.
8 years ago, Tiffany came here as a client, hoping to save her own life.
I'm meant to be here. Like everybody that's here should be here. There's a reason that I'm here.
As a child, Tiffany and her 4 siblings lived in a housing project in Las Vegas, where drugs and gangs were a brutal reality. Her mother struggled to raise the children and soon became addicted to crack cocaine, often leaving the children to fend for themselves.
My mom would just leave. My mom would leave for days. There was times when the only time we knew, my mom would send a note with us, a note home, and a pizza delivery guy with a note to tell us she was okay and she loved us. And that's it.
The pain of her mother's addiction and the daily struggle growing up would haunt her for years. But somehow, Tiffany managed to survive. Eventually, she married and gave birth to 3 beautiful, healthy children. But 10 years ago, abusive relationships and the pain of the past caught up with her. She found an escape in alcohol. She wanted out, but couldn't find her way.
I felt like I was giving up on myself. It was a very, very sad time. Very sad time. Because I really didn't know how to change my drinking because it was like medication for me. And I didn't really have a reason why. Because I was stuck in such a dark place.
A few years later, after a night out with the girls, Tiffany found her bottom.
Woke up on the floor of my girlfriend's house, and I just looked around, and I was like, it's over. This is so over, because I was still drunk. I couldn't drive home. I was so destroyed on the inside, waking up on the floor, not being able to drive, all these things. Just because I didn't want to necessarily, but I had to drink.
That's when Tiffany found the Recovery Cafe. It was here that she discovered a way out of her alcohol abuse and began counseling for her trauma and depression. Every year, Food Lifeline provides 40,000 pounds of nutritious food to the cafe, enough to feed more than 25,000 clients. Food that helps change lives. Now sober for more than 6 years, Tiffany recently completed her degree in chemical dependency counseling. Her 3 kids are now grown. She has a brand new granddaughter, and her mother has been clean and sober for 20 years. This is a family that has struggled and survived. Today, she pays it forward by sharing her strength and her love. A gift she's ready to give back to anyone that walks into the Recovery Cafe.
You have to have the strength You have to know that you have the support, and you have to feel love to give love. So I think that I'm in the perfect place to start spreading my love around. Yeah.
Food Lifeline shows up in many ways you might not expect. For the Recovery Cafe, it's a warm meal for someone trying to change their life. But providing this food also allows the cafe to dedicate more funds to its core mission. When you support Food Lifeline, you're feeding thousands of people just like Tiffany. When we help people find their best selves, it brings out the best in us.